Lori here. I'm here today to do part 2 of my May reading wrap-up. May was a weird month because I read a lot of middle grade books due to the middle grade reading challenge I was a part of out in the TBR and Beyond reading group. If you haven't joined that, it's super fun. They have a reading challenge every single month, and I'm really excited for the group challenges in specific. This one I was Team Percy Jackson, Team Camp Half-Blood, which I was super excited about. So let's get into it. I finished reading 12 books in this half of the month, so definitely very, very impressive. I did get much better at listening to my audiobooks this month, which I'm really, really happy about. So the first book I read was a reread. I don't know if I talked about this in the last wrap-up, I can't remember, but it is Titan's Curse by Rick Riordan. Book in the series, and I forgot how much I really like this book. It is definitely not what I remember, I will say that. Like, there is a lot of stuff in this book that I just didn't remember happened, but I really enjoyed it. I'm really loving my reread. I'm doing it at Prophecy Radio, which is hosted by Karen and Kristen from Subjectify Media. They were former Hypable staffers that started their own entertainment news site. I really, really love their opinions, and it's super fun. And they're not only doing the Percy Jackson, but like they do episodes on all the Rick Riordan Presents novels, and they're doing a lot of good reporting on the Percy Jackson TV show that started filming this week when I'm filming this. So yeah, I really like this, really excited, happy that I'm doing it with them, and I just started The Battle of the Labyrinth, which will probably take me another 2 months to read just because I read like 2 chapters every single week, mostly, unless I fall really, really far behind, which has been happening. But I really did like this book, gave it 5 stars, really enjoyed it. Probably a new favorite of the series for sure. Just because we got more about Thalia, and it was good. So very, very fun. The next book I picked up was another e-arc, and that is 12th, and here is a photo of that. Tour book for TBR and Beyond Reading Group, like their tour company. It's set at a theater summer camp. I thought I would really, really like it. And I think I was super invested in like the theater camp element. I teach theater. I've worked at 2 different summer camps over the course of my life and of course of my career. That was like the highlight of it because I've missed working on shows so much. The last time I put up a show was in 2019. It's been a bit due to the pandemic and everything, and our school year being really, really weird. However, this book did not land as well because it also had a dual timeline story. That storyline I was just not captured by, but like the present day stuff with the theater, I was really intrigued by. I think this book was just trying to do too much, and I think it really needed to pick a plot because there was just a lot, and I wasn't really into the time travel element, but it was very, very LGBTQ plus friendly. I really, really like that. I think it was a really, really good, effective read for that aspect of it, and I just liked it. I mean, it wasn't my favorite book ever, but I did like the theater elements and the LGBTQ plus elements, which I think is neat to see more in middle grade because I think it's a very, very prevalent topic. But yeah, so the next book I picked up was Wild Sea Witch by Marty Dumas. This was a arc I got from one of the virtual conventions I went to this year. Been going a lot of virtual conventions, I will be very, very honest. However, this book I liked. It follows this girl named Hassani, and she is revealed as she is a witch, a wild sea witch, and she is sent to this finishing school to sort of like train up her powers. And I liked it. It had a lot to do with like flowers and flower magic and stuff like that. But this book really lacked tension for me. Like, it felt like a little bit meandering. I didn't really know where the story was going. I know we're going to get sequel, like more in the series, but this book just felt a little bit like it needed like a conflict. It needed like a main plot. And it really was just her first year at magic school, but there wasn't like a lot of tension to this story. It was intriguing. I liked it. I liked the magic system. I like that, but I just wanted a little bit more tension and conflict and plot with the story. But I am going to check out the sequel for sure. So, but yeah, about a 3.75 star read right now, if I had to choose right now, which I do. So, 3-star read, effective. I like the magic system, but I struggled with the tension and the plot because I just felt it was a little bit meandering. And then the next book that I read was an audiobook for the TBR and Bear Reading Group. It was one of their choices, like one of their top reads, and it was Winter House by Ben Gunderson. Here's a photo. It's really, really fun. I remember I had an arc of this a very, very long time ago, and I wound up giving it away to one of my students. But I really like the audiobook. It basically follows this young girl, and she lives with her aunt, and her uncle, and her, they send her to this mysterious mansion for Christmas break, and she winds up uncovering some mysteries there. It was really, really fun. It reminded me a little bit of the Mysterious Benedict Society, but sort of like a different concept. But it was a fun read, really engaging. It had like a lot of mysteries in it. I didn't know there was more books in this series, so definitely eventually I'm probably going to try to get the other books in it on audio, because I really did like listening to this one. And I'm happy that the TBR and Beyond Reads chose this one, because it was one of the only books that they chose that I hadn't really read yet. So that was really, really exciting. And I found a new favorite, so that was actually really, really fun. And the next book that I picked up was a physical book, and that is Alcatraz versus the Evil Librarians by Brandon Sanderson. I really did like this book. I actually just got an e-arc of this one because they're releasing it again in paperback, because book 5 comes out, I think, this year. I, again, really like this book. It basically follows this guy named Alcatraz Medry, and he starts to realize his world is not what he thinks it is when he has to go on the run to save himself from assassins that are racing after him, the Librarians. It was a fun read, super engaging. It really gave me like Lemony Snicket vibes, but I just loved his writing style in this, because like it's just so funny. Like he just, like, the way that Alcatraz is telling you the story, it's from the future, so you really get a lot of like tongue-in-cheek remarks from Brandon Sanderson, and I really, really like it. It was really, really fun. It was a fun read. I have to try to get book 2 and 4 and beyond, but I'm probably going to get them through Audible, because they have like the enhanced version, and like it sounds like you're watching like a movie. Really excited for that. So I will definitely keep up in this series eventually, because book 6, I think, comes out soon. So, but I really did like this, and it was a pleasant surprise. And the next book that I picked up was a surprise. I didn't know it was coming out, but they came out with a prequel novella for the American Royal series, because book 3 is coming out, and it is called Inheritance, and here is the cover. It's been a while since you have read this series. I think this is a great refresher to like how the series started, because it's literally the night before like the American Royals book. There's like a lot of stuff that happens that like creates the drama for American Royals, and this novella sort of breaks it all down. You get a lot more information too. A lot of stuff I forgot, but if you read it very, very close together, it may not be worth it, but I liked it because I felt like it gave me a lot of recap and stuff I needed, because I'm definitely going to pick up Rivals whenever it comes out, probably after my book buying ban, which will be over in early July. But I liked it. I gave it 3 stars. It was a fun listen, and it might be on your overdrive because it was on mine. And the next book that I picked up, I don't know, I have to look. Oh, perfect. And this is The Fairest Kind of Love by Crystal Ciceri. This is the final book in the Windy City Magic series. I've been trying to get better at reading end of series, and this is one my friend literally just gifted me a copy. So when I saw that I gifted it, I picked it up. Final book in that series. I feel like this book was okay. Wasn't my favorite in the series. I felt sort of like what I felt with this book. It was a little bit meandering plot-wise, and I think it just was like not as focused. And I think the major question of this whole series, like who is Amber's match, I think the end of it was a little bit rushed. But it was a fun read, a fun conclusion. It just wasn't my favorite installment in the series. But I am happy that I finally finished it. And the next book I am going to chat about is, well, this is Wizards of Mickey, but on everywhere it's called Mouse Magic. This is one I picked up at Comic-Con a couple of months ago when I went, and it was just a graphic novel. It's sort of like Kingdom Hearts, I would say. It's not like exactly, but it may be inspired by it, who knows. But it's basically, it follows Mickey as he goes on these adventures as like a wizard to defeat some demons, some evil guys. It's fun, it's engaging, it's quick. I think if you have kids that are like struggling to read graphic novels, it's a very easy layout. So for me, it was really, really fun. It was a little bit repetitive, but it was nice seeing like all the classic Disney characters, like all these guys on here, but you also get to see Minnie and Clarabel and Daisy. So it was fun. I gave it 3 stars. I'm probably going to give it to my students as well. I think that they'll get a kick out of it. And the next book that I picked up, I have to find it. Again, this was a lot of middle grade books because I was doing that challenge, is Sisters of Luna Island by Stacy Hacketty. I thought this one was really, really cute as well. It is a little bit hard because the main character in the story is dealing with a lot, so being in her head can be a little bit overwhelming and a little bit annoying at points. But you follow this girl named Marigold, and she is a family of witches. The year before, something tragic happened. There was like a big earthquake that she inadvertently caused, in a sense. And all the sisters, they all have these powers. Her dad was injured, so he's living far away from them. Their mother and Marigold don't have the best relationship. When an evil curse starts to overtake not only the sisters but the town, Marigold has to work with her best friend to save the day. It was fun. I really liked the magic. It was a great spring read. I think this would be a perfect spring read, honestly, because it was set around, it gave me spring vibes. It's set on an island. It had a lot of sisterhood stuff with it. Very, very quick, very, very fun, but it does deal with harder middle school topic like friendship drama, family drama, especially divorce and stuff like that. But I liked it, and it was a fun read. So definitely want to check out more by this author. And it was another witchy story, but a light witchy story rather than the next one I'm going to talk about. And then the next book I am going to talk about. Oh, okay. This is actually my last nonfiction book that I read this month. I actually read 2, which was pretty good because I had a rough month the last 2 months with reading nonfiction. But this is The Family Next Door, which is the book inspired by the Turpin story. So here's a photo of that. If you know nothing about me, then just know I like true crime, and this case was very, very fascinating to me. Very, very heartbreaking, I will say that, but it basically tells you the whole life story of the Turpin family. For me, I think it went a little bit too deep into the parents' backgrounds, and I think that lost me a little bit. But the actual stuff that this family has been through was sort of heartbreaking and devastating. And, doing a bit more research, after this book, I found out how horrible the Turpin children are still being treated in the system, and it just makes me really, really frustrated. But it was just interesting to see this book told from this person's point of view. It was interesting. I don't rate nonfiction, but I would definitely read more books by this author in the future. And then the next book, the last physical book I read this month, was Witchlings by Clarabel Ortega. While I would classify this as a good witch, very, very light magic, this was not that, and I loved it. I know Clarabel, I've read a couple of things. Her first book, her debut, I really liked, but I know that she wrote a book about magic school specifically due to all the stuff with JKR and her transphobic nature, and she wanted to write a book that was, magic schools, in a different light, and I really, really liked it. It had a quest element. It was really, really fun. But you follow these 3 girls. It's they're all covens, and you have a night where you kind of get chosen into your coven, and these 3 girls become spares. And if you are chosen to be a spare and you can't get your magic together, then you're basically outcasted and you have no magic, unless you take on a quest. And the girls, they take on this quest, and it is a really, really wild ride. It's a very, very engaging story. It's very, very fast. It focuses a lot on sisterhood and adventure and a different way of looking at magic school. It also talks about friendship and family drama. There's also a lot of tension in the story, and it was really, really intense. I really liked it. I gave it 5 stars. This was probably one of my only 5-star reads of the month, other than 6 of Crows, because I really did like this one as well. Talked about this in my previous wrap-up, but I really liked this one, and I gave it 5 stars. And then the last book I'm going to talk about in this reading wrap-up is my last audiobook of the month, and that is Surrender to the Devil by Lorraine Heath. So this is Franny's story, and Franny is one of the young ladies that is like kind of a child of the street. She is very good friends with Jack and Luke, and her whole desire is to, right, she's the bookkeeper for Jack's club, and then she also wants to run a children's home, and that's sort of her whole prevalence. The love interest in this book was so surprising to me. I went in not knowing, and I was really surprised by how the love interest was and how the love interest was connected to the character in our first book. But I was waiting for Franny's story. Franny has like a very, very difficult past. Sort of like Jack. They both had very, very traumatic pasts. But I just liked it. I thought it was fun. It was refreshing. I really liked her story. I'm excited to read the last 2 books in the series as well. I actually have them out on Audible right now. I mean, from my library right now, Overdrive. But I'm doing a reading challenge and I'm trying to wait to see what the prompts are going to be. But I really, really liked it. I really do like Lorraine Heath. So those are the books. Let me see, I'll give you guys a number. Those are the 12 books that I read in the second half of the month of May. I will see you guys for my June wrap up. Let me know what are some top reads that you read recently, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye, friends.